All right, so we're doing another alumni interview of Ranken Technical College Application and Web Development Program. Now, I think, Matt, when you went through the program, it was actually called something different back then.
I don't even remember now. Yeah, it was definitely it's like web application. There was more web involved in the name, I believe.
Yeah, I think it used to be called Internet and Web-based technology,
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, it's been long enough. We've even gone through a title change. So, anyways, thanks for taking a little bit of time to talk to some of my current students. Again, you got second year students and first year students, and probably potential students on YouTube and online. So your target audience is very entry level. So we'll kind of ask some questions about the industry, keeping in mind the target audience. Cool. So yeah, if you don't mind, Matt, just go ahead and introduce yourself to my classes.
All right. I'm Matt Winters. I graduated Ranken Tech year 2014. From there, I've had 3 different jobs throughout the time period of then and now. Now I'm working at Hunter Engineering, where I'm an application developer and also a Scrum Master.
What's it? So Hunter Engineering as an application developer. And so when it comes to building software, what languages have you dabbled in, or what's your master expertise in?
C Sharp is probably the most common one, and then of course JavaScript, jQuery. We do a little HTML here and there. And then every once in a while we work. Our teams are made. We have a database team and a mid-tier team, so we still get to work with all the different languages, but we're mostly focused on the front end stuff.
How big is your team at Hunter Engineering?
So on the team that I work with, we have 5 developers. Then we have a database team that's probably made up of about another 5 or 6. There's like a mid-tier team, and they're made up about 6 or 7. And that's like the main teams that I interact with.
Okay, so relatively small.
Yep.
Cool. And so, you came to Rankin to study web development and software development. Why did you choose this industry?
So I knew I wanted to do technology, but I really had no idea what direction I wanted to go to. And that's why the very first semester was really nice, because I got to test out or work with HTML, and I knew immediately that was like something that would trigger like interest, that was enjoyable enough to where I wanted to keep learning. I just naturally was headed and directed towards wanting to do more of that.
Nice. So, Rankin is in St. Louis. Are you still in the St. Louis area? I see the virtual background there, so it makes me think you must be working from home, so you could be working from anywhere maybe.
I am working. I still am in the St. Louis area, Fallon, Missouri, and I pretty much maintained residency here.
Right on, right on. And so, are you working from home today?
Yep. I work 3 days at home, 2 days in office, and for me, it's a perfect balance. I get to take a break being at home and all that, but I still enjoy the social aspect of going into office.
Yeah. Big survey of developers. I think it was 90% are still doing somewhat of a hybrid, which is exactly what you're doing, in office and out. So talk about the software that you've written for either Hunter Engineering or other companies. Like, is there any neat software projects you've worked on? Any cool stuff you built?
So probably the most recognizable, and cool was my last job at SGS Co., where I actually worked on we were contracted through Anheuser-Busch, so their entire approval process of any artwork they have essentially would go through my code, and probably up to many years from now. So it's pretty cool to see anything in store is like, hey, that's gone through a piece of my code kind of thing. So it's a cool aspect.
So Anheuser-Busch, you said their artwork?
Yep, like label bottles, box designs, commercials even, like the entire process was gone through an application that I worked on.
And so in order to meet their graphic standards, so to speak, they had to
Yep.
check all the boxes on your software.
Yep, essentially it starts with to get the graphic designer, and then from there they do test prints, and that's what actually the company I worked for did at SGS Co. is they make sure that the color is a one-for-one match, because say Bud Light has a very specific blue, they wanted to make sure that very specific blue printed exactly 100% accurate every time, depending on which place in the United States or anywhere it was printed matched that color. So that process was documented in the application. Then there's artwork, and so different approvers and teams would vote on the artwork and say, hey, this is good, or this section needs changed, etc.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what are you doing for Hunter Engineering now? What's the software that you're building now look like?
Essentially, it's for the application that the equipment that cars drive through and get like tire checks, like all the vehicle maintenance type of equipment. Like a lot of dealerships will use Hunter equipment, and all that data is then sent to a front end for the user that is running the cars through, or logs all the information, stuff like that.
Maybe I missed a little bit of the explanation. So like,
It's all right.
no, that's all good. So like I'm imagining like a truck driving down the highway. They have to pull off on the side of the road and get weighed.
So say you take your car, you need new tires. So you drive through the dealership. This this device will essentially scan the tires, collects that data, then it displays all that information to the user that's running the car through, and then they can get like any information they need on the tires or etc. And then it's sent back to the customer.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're. That makes sense because if I go in for an oil change, for example, they're gonna tell me, my tires have this much more life on them, or my filters have this much more life on them. So there's like scanning equipment that's looking at the life of all these different things in my car and telling me, hey, you've got 3 months left or 3 years left, kind of thing.
Yep. And then there's also And then there's also the commerce side, like say if a shop needs to order new parts for their equipment, it goes through this same application or website.
So, when you came to Ranken, you learned a technical, like how to write code, but it sounds like you probably had to learn quite a bit additional into like not only how to write code, but like a little bit about business and how businesses work and like all these processes. Can you talk about like the different learning curves you have to go through there?
Yeah, I mean, it's easiest explained is just like through the years. Like my first job was like very entry level, and so as soon as I outgrew that, it like got boring. So you outgrew that, and then there's new tech. You go to a new job, and the technology has changed drastically, even short or long amount of times of how technology changes, and then you just gotta adapt and learn everything you need to know about that job to become an expert in that position. Kind of.
Right. So not only, but not only the technology stack that you're learning or that or you don't know, but like how much did you know about shades of blue for Anheuser-Busch, right?
Yeah,
so what's the right shade and why is this important?
It definitely it only makes you better at your job to make suggestions for like proactively suggest things for a customer, or you see things that, hey, this could be done a better way on our end to better serve a customer. How can I help? Learning and understand the business does help that.
Yeah. So can you walk me through like what a normal day in your life is like 9 to 5? What time are you waking up and clocking in? What time you clocking out? Is there overtime? What's it like?
Okay. I normally wake up about like 6:15, and then I'm getting ready, and I get to office about 7 a.m. The time schedule that I can come in is pretty flexible. I just gotta let the manager know, let them know like how. But so 7 to 9 is usually like checking emails, kind of waking up, getting back to what I was doing the night before, maybe or whatever. 9 a.m. we'll hold a scrum meeting where it'll be our team discussing what's going on for the day, any roadblocks we might have at that time. Then we'll finish. That's usually about 15 minutes. Then we'll just work through the day, normal lunch time. If we're working from remote, we'll have a 2 p.m. stand-up meeting where we kind of discuss the same thing, just to get back on the same page as everything. And then the next day, then that's essentially till 4 p.m.
It's kind of 7 to 4 kind of thing.
Yep. And then throughout the day, throughout the week, there's different things. Like how familiar with Scrum, but every 2 weeks we have like a backlog refinement, kind of plan out what we're going to do the next sprint, what work we're aiming to accomplish, or any other like learning sessions. Once a month we have a learning session where we'll all get in a group and kind of one person will volunteer to teach something that they know.
Well, keep in mind, we have a lot of brand new students. They've been in class for about a month, so the odds of them understanding Scrum are pretty slim. So could you kind of dive into what is this term?
Probably the easiest way is just like essentially a process that's kind of like rules are put in place to like organize how we're going to commit to work and have work at the end of that sprint. So our sprint is 2 weeks. So beginning of sprint, we'll plan out what we're going to do for those 2 weeks, what kind of work we want to accomplish. We'll set a goal that we want to meet, and then from there we just start working little tickets, stories, aspects of a way to accomplish the main goal.
So it's goal-oriented way of writing software. It's like, hey, every 2 weeks, here's our goal, and we're gonna have daily meetings that last about 15 minutes to talk about our progress and what's in our way. And so when you say Scrum, it's really just like a goal-oriented way of writing software. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And you described it as like the process that you follow to write software. So, very cool. So, what advice would you give to a new student at Ranken, to be successful in this industry?
I think the one thing that I did that really like ended up working really well for me was just always practice. Like, do you guys still do where you create a website, like a profile website, and it's like displayed somewhere, and you can say, "Hey, this is what I created."
Yeah, your portfolio. Yeah, we have a portfolio, and every semester we have a project to put on the portfolio.
All right. So I think I redid my portfolio at least 5 times, and each time it felt a little better. I tried to learn a little new element to put into my portfolio, and just constantly improving and learning new skills and how to like put them together. So that was like a really good foot in the door, because it gave you something to show versus like I just went to school.
Yeah. The portfolio was a demonstration of your work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then from there, what really like the next phase of my second job was, so I created like, you don't have to create anything like new, high end or whatever. Like for me, for example, are you familiar with the Heads Up game for phone? Essentially, it's like a phone game where you put it on your head. It's like, so one day, me and my friend were talking, like, I wish we could make our own categories. So I was like, you know what, I could probably make a simple phone application that does the same exact thing. So I essentially reproduced it, but it still was like a huge, like every person job interview that I went to was like, oh, that's really cool kind of thing. And it was like a huge win for that part.
So another way of saying that is you did a side project that it was actually something that you were interested in. You built it for fun. Yeah. Like genuinely, like I'm gonna build something for fun, not for any other purpose. And then you got to talk about that during interviews.
Yeah.
And that helped you kind of take the next step.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all great advice. What's the job market like out there right now for experienced developers?
I think there's definitely plenty of options, and it's really just finding the angle, or you can really go into like, what kind of business do I want to work for? Like if I want to go anything, like you want to go like very commercial, like Walmart's and Target, you can aim that way. Or if you want to go low, small teams, you could probably find an angle somewhere where it's a smaller team. There's many opportunities out there, especially with how remote opportunities have gone. It's easy, I guess. It's very easy to find a job.
Do you have like a LinkedIn portfolio or profile, I would say, that you keep active, or you don't even do that? Or
I was for a while, but there's so many recruiters that will message you like on a regular basis. I haven't like kept up with it, but yes, I do have a LinkedIn profile.
Okay, cool. Do you see yourself as a lifelong career writing software, or do you see like an evolution taking place at any point?
I think this newest position job really like opened my eyes to like really like this is going to be my long term. I want to become an expert in my craft kind of position. My last job, it became easy, and it was like very easy routine work. I could just continue doing it maybe, but it wasn't satisfying. Like I wasn't learning new. I wasn't learning anything new. So this new position really opened my eyes to like how much technology changed in just that amount of time, and like really relit that fire to wanting to learn and wanting to go out. And so like that just gave me the new
Re-inspired
way
you?
of, yeah, and it's like, yeah, this is what I like doing, this is what I enjoy.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I know when you graduated, I think you were in a class with John Boyer, and I think you kind of has stayed in touch with him throughout the years. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Any other graduates that you remember from class you've stayed in contact with, or is it kind of faded?
If I checked my LinkedIn, that's where I had most of the connections,
Yeah.
so I could like code check through, but I haven't like really like stayed too much in contact,
Yeah,
I
I'm
guess.
kind of the reason I asked that is, you hear the expression, it's about who you know, not what you know sometimes, right? So
Yeah,
networking is always
yeah.
important, and I was wondering if you can kind of speak to, has that helped you throughout the years?
Yeah, it's like I've had a lot of chances of opportunities just through talking to other people that were in the same field or market, because it's not always, you can't, the jobs that are the ones that are looking really want to look for, or really that fit you, aren't going to be like found on monster.com or whatever. It's usually like, hey, word of mouth, this is really working out for me, you should check it out.
Yep. Um, when you're interviewing for software development jobs, how many of the interviews had technical assessments?
Uh, the my first, so I only went through that step of like committed, like all right, this is the place. So it's only been two of the three jobs I have had those, and so it was the most recent one was like essentially like an API, creating API call, getting some data, and then returning that data converted into a model. And so and then and then a personality test.
Oh, and personality tests.
The With hunter.com, it was really extensive, it felt like, with getting through the final steps.
We, in my class right now, where we've been in session for about a month, and next week they'll be building an API backend that connects to a database that serves up, CRUD operations.
Yep.
Sounds exactly like what your coding test was. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Someone's at my front door. My son just opened the door. Give me. I am so sorry.
Yeah, we
Give
can
me two
pause. All good,
seconds.
man. We'll pause. And so when you right before your doorbell rang, I was saying it again. The coding challenge was the question, and
Yep.
you make sure I understand what the coding challenge was. Is you had to build up a backend like API that served
Yep.
up data out of a database.
Yep. It sounded exactly what you were describing. Is pretty much what the test was.
Yeah, we just took our second hands-on test, and our third hands-on test is precisely that. What about your other coding challenge? What was the other one like?
That one was very basic. It was mostly just answering questions on very common coding terms like response codes. It was very. It wasn't like typing or any out. Like it was just very
Theoretical,
answering
maybe?
questions. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Just like ABCD kind of things?
Pretty much.
Maybe a
Yes.
fill in the blank?
Yep.
Which is interesting because, at Ranken, we're based on hands-on, so we're all about doing the work, but also we do have theory tests, and so sounds like you had to take a theory test during an interview.
Mhm.
So that stuff is still important, so that's good. Well, man, you answered all the questions that I had, knocked it out of the park. So maybe open up to some student questions if students might have any questions for Matt. And sometimes we get a lot of questions, and sometimes people get shy. So
Okay.
we'll see what we got.
I'll try my best.
And again, if you're on line right now, feel free to pipe in on general chat.
Quick question for you, Matt.
Yep.
I'm one of the other AWD instructors, and you mentioned being a Scrum Master.
Yep.
What steps did you have to go through to become a Scrum Master?
So it was something that the company I work for, they wanted to, like, they were always like pretty close to a Scrum organization, but they started wanting to move towards a more organized version of that. So they actually sent us through classes off-site to learn about it and go through a whole certification course. And then so from there, it just became pure elected type position, like, hey, you should take this kind of role. We kind of feel you would be the best fit kind of situation.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the class at large? Matt, I think these are really valuable for my students. I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
You know, giving them a little bit of insight of what it's like 9 to 5 for an alumni of the program. So I also want to say, you know, congratulations on your success, man.
Thank you.
You know, we've easily got, you know, close to 50 students right now in our classes that are looking to follow in a similar kind of path that you've walked. So you've definitely experienced a level of success, and just want to say congrats.
Thank you.
All right, man. Hey, good touching base. It was good seeing you.
You too. I'll take
All
care.
right. All right, stay in touch. Bye.